Hi, Internet. Welcome to the most professionally produced book club squadcast you're ever going to watch. We're all pros here.
Yep. No, we definitely are. I'm just going to count that as the intro because that's really cute and funny.
Okay, and that's it. We're flying into another episode of Book Club with Sexy Wookiee Squadron.
Oh man, I just hit my mic.
Oh, cut it. Just
It's terrible.
Wait,
like
can
I
we
said,
cut
As
this?
I went to come up, I was like, clink.
Hey guys, welcome this week to Sexy Wookiee Squadcast, where we are reading Most Wanted by Rae Carson. This week we will be covering chapters 6 through 10. This is Sexy 2.
and Sexy 1.
Sexy leader.
And away we go.
Special guest by our puppies.
All right, guys, ready for the first question?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Yeah, let's dive in.
All right, so what do you think the shield generator is for? Do you think it's in connection to maybe a specific event that happened in the movies that we already know about, or do you think it's for something new?
Now, is it confirmed it's a shield generator? He was spitballing. He's like, it's like a shield generator or something. I've never seen anything like it. So it's
Under
some
my
piece
impression,
of tech.
he seemed pretty confident, but he could be wrong.
I liked that we were right in our speculation that it was some kind of a blueprint
Imperial,
or Imperial tech kind of thing. And I'm sticking with my wild theory of Death Star plans from last week. I'm like, why not? Death Star shield generator, sure.
Wait, but
Yeah,
I have a question about that.
Yeah, go for it.
Wouldn't they have already gotten started and building and everything for the Death Star at that point?
Oh yeah,
So,
but they're building it in pieces.
Okay, so a piece of the Death Star maybe.
Yeah, I mean, hello, it belongs to the engineer, right? Was that it?
Yeah.
Or the architect? What was it?
The engineer.
I think
The engineer?
Yeah.
The engineer.
I'm like,
Galen.
am I thinking who you're thinking? I think so. So, yeah, I'm like, oh, it's all coming together now. I like this.
So, I mean, if it is the shield generator for the Death Star, it's like only a single small fighter can get through these shields. For sure. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I think they are in the final phases of building this thing. Yeah, and it's so secretive, right? And ever since like Revenge of the Sith, like the plans have been a secret, and then now towards the plans, the shield generator. Hopefully, it's part of it. Hopefully,
I thought of something. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so here's my theory. So the first Death Star didn't really have shields that they had to deal with, right? But which one did? The second Death Star. Who took out the shields on the second Death Star? Han Solo.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah,
it was his ground crew that goes into the bunker to lower the shields that were projecting up from the planet.
From the Endor
moon.
Yeah.
So there's a connection there. Okay. I just thought of that.
I like that.
Just saying.
I was thinking when I read it, I don't know why, but the first thing that popped in my head was I was thinking of Rogue One. And do you remember how over the planet they had the giant like shields over that they were trying to make sure that only the Imperial ships could get through? For some reason my mind jumped to that and I was like, Rogue One.
Yes, that was a very important use of shields in the movies. So
that's how I was thinking, like maybe something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, man, these are good guesses. I like it. Ready for our next one?
I'm just gonna say our guesses are pretty good on this one. Like we were right about what Han was doing with his free time. And I can't remember what else we guessed that was right, but I kept reading and going, yes! I was like, I totally thought this. This is great.
So
Okay,
I
next.
skipped the question for chapter 7 because it was just kind of a straightforward one, but I still have 5 questions total. Next question. So Han has contacts everywhere. Qi'ra has proven planning works, and Tsuulo has an education. Last week I asked which one of the 2 would you rather work with, but now which of the 3 would you rather work on a mission with?
All right, I'm gonna go first on this one.
Yeah, you got this.
Yeah, one of the guesses that we tried to guess, I said, would there be Jedi in all of this? So, yeah, Rae gave us definitely the Force or a Force believer. So, yeah, since last week, right from the get-go, when he says Force, I wish I had taken better notes. But he talks about the Force in chapter 6, and I said, oh, right there it goes. Here's our Force believer, kind of like a Qi'ra kind of guy. But I believe that's why he lived in Coruscant and then kind of ran into that historical Jedi-ish figure, or somebody who's enthusiastic about the Force religion. So definitely my person has shifted, and he's also tech savvy. Tsuulo is my
Yeah.
dude. That's my
Hashtag
guy.
Team Tsuulo.
Rodian.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. I have to say, I'm so glad that he kind of joined the team and has become like the third person in this adventure, because I'm loving his character. Like, it's completely different from the other ones, but it's still like and it's a really unique backstory. And I'm not fond of every story having like, oh, and this person's a Force user. It's like, are there that many people that just use the Force all the time? So having a person who's like more like just religious but doesn't understand it and is like, Force be with us, Force be, like, freaking hilarious. Like, I love that stuff. I'm like, Tsuulo's gonna be like my favorite guy. I was like, please don't kill him, Rae. Please don't kill him. Because he's so good. I love him. However, now if we're doing like, put yourself in the situation, like, who are you gonna scrum with? Who's your planning person, get out of trouble kind of person? Like, he's not, I don't know how useful he is. He's got like, unless you're into something that you really need somebody who knows tech. So I'm have to still stick with Han, because as we've seen, he really does have contacts everywhere. And I'm in Hollywood, like, everything is about connections. It's who you know. And Han is the only one who knows enough people. Like, that's where it counts.
All right, nice. I think I would still have to go with Han, because last week when I said I like to go with my gut, but I also like to plan, but I feel better with someone who also goes with their gut, because they understand more about what that's like, versus people who don't go with their guts. They're like, oh, you're just going off of some feeling, and it's like, well, it's more than just a feeling. But so Han, I have to agree with you. Gotta go with Han.
Yeah. But I knew it, and I was reading it. I was like, Ronald's gonna love Tsuulo. That's gonna be his guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is his guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that, like, he seems really interesting, and I like that he's not a Force user, but he does believe in it, even though he doesn't quite understand it. That's
Exactly.
kind of nice to still have that in it, even though most of the stories are all about like Jedi and Force users. I like that he's just a believer in it and not actually a Force user, so that's kind of refreshing.
It's a new perspective. You're exactly the word. It's refreshing. Like, I really like it. And the fact that he's an alien, and I think a lot of the books that we've read and stuff, that there's not an emphasis on aliens as main characters. I mean, even in the movies, you watch the new movies, and there aren't a lot of alien main characters. And I find it's Star Wars. Why not? Like, feature some diversity. And the fact that he doesn't even speak basic, and there's that dynamic of Qi'ra kind of understanding him but not wanting to let on that she does, and then Han translating, and can you really trust his translations? And like, I just love that dynamic. Like, I'm so glad he's in the story.
Oh yeah, definitely adds, I guess you could say, like a new flavor to it.
Yeah.
Like it's just more interesting to have him there.
Yep.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So how do you guys feel about learning more about their backstories? You know, with Han and Qi'ra, like we kind of get a little bit more than we did with the movie. With Tsuulo, we got a lot more. Now we can understand, because last week we were like, how does this guy have this? How does he know all that? So what's it like to, for at least for those three, to just kind of learn more about their backstory and just kind of like their characters?
I loved it. I mean, not to harp on the issue, but I love Tsuulo's backstory, and I like, I don't know, it's unique and interesting, and you're like, oh man, like, as we know from my character's origin story, I love the fall from grace kind of thing. Like, you started out with this privileged thing and now you're scrapping out an existence. Like, that's fascinating to me. So I love that. And then of course we've got these two characters that we do kind of know well, and now we get to learn new things about. So I don't know that we've learned anything too new about Han. There was that one part where he talks about a memory of his dad, and that was kind of new, even though I think we did know that his dad was a shipbuilder. But that he was just kind of like drunk and pessimistic. I was like, okay, I can see that. We still don't know what happened, and I like that Qi'ra's trying to find out, and Han's just like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, it keeps it like, oh, it's going to be mysterious, but you know, at some point they're going to trust each other enough to reveal that secret too. And I like that we're learning this part of his backstory where he wants to be a pilot and doesn't really think he ever will. And this is like his first taste of flying or going fast. Like, this is the origin story I wanted to see. Like, to be honest, Solo the movie, I wanted to see him learn how to fly. Like, and we just go in and he just knows. He just is. He's already like a good pilot or driver or something. And so this, I'm like, yes, we get to see that develop. That's great. And then Qi'ra, yeah, we didn't know much about her, but okay. So she grew up in a place even worse than where she's at now. And you can see how that has motivated her to try to rise to the top of her situation, to try to be better, to remember what it was like when it was bad. And that's why she loves the finer things. And in a funny way, it's almost the same as Winbutt's story from the last book. From some little podunk, nothing, you're not going anywhere kind of place, but super ambitious and will play the game of whatever faction is in charge and work her way up the ladder. So I'm like, yes, this one, she's going places. I like it. And I like that in this, she's not good at everything. She likes to put on that she is, but she admits when she's like, and I was out of my league in this sense. So I'm like, oh, thankfully it's like a person who still needs to learn how to do things. Like, yes, this is how you do character development.
Yeah, I sympathize with Qi'ra's story a little bit, because you know how like Lady Proxima in the movie goes, oh, we pulled you out from, you know, wherever she was, and we know it's like the silos, and how the silos is very like, it's worse than where they're at now. So this is kind of like a step up for her, being in the White Worms. And I mean, how much worse could it be from the silos
exactly
to a sewer, you know?
How much worse is it? That it's a step up.
Yeah, exactly. So it seems like she has a luxury and wealth with the white worms, opposed to where the silos is like, I built my home, my first home here, but she got out of it. With Han, when I read that part, when it said that his dad was like some sort of prince and was like seventh in line, so he could never get to whatever the prince rank was. And then I said, whoa, that's why maybe he does get with Princess Leia, in A New Hope.
So he opened his mouth, closed it, and then my old man was a lost prince, seventh in line to the throne of Havia Nukit. Oh God, I forgot my Roman numerals. I'm an idiot. Sorry, my 2 brain cells aren't working.
Oh.
He ran away when his family refused to bless his marriage to a dancing girl. Qi'ra blinked. Liar. Han just grinned. Liar.
What a dork.
And then the whole thing about his dad, she wasn't even sure if he was telling the truth then. The only thing she knew he was telling the truth about was about wanting to fly.
And I think, once he says that, he's also talking about like the speeder, right? He says, I'm building the speeder because my dream is to become to fly one day. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I think that's true in itself. Like, we may not see how you start off as a street racer and makes you a good flyer, but I like how that's his dream.
Yeah, ultimately,
and that
that's
dream
his
goes all the
ambition.
way into the movie. So
yeah.
But I think it is an Easter egg. Like, there's a lot of little nods, like his like rolling his eyes every time Tsuulo talks about the Force, and he's like, these religions. Like, you can see the Han that we know,
right.
kind of in the early stages, and the fact that his little like sarcastic made up backstory is that he's royalty, and it's like, I mean, really, in the galaxy, like, how many monarchs are there still? So the fact that he does end up with a princess at some point is like, what are the odds? Like, it's a total Easter egg. Like, I loved it. Like a sarcastic one, but an Easter egg nonetheless.
Oh yeah, I really like that. And even though we don't know if he's actually lying about that story about him and his dad sitting on that fence, it's still nice that, maybe he dreamt of having a dad, even if it was a deadbeat like that. Maybe maybe some of these lies are just him being hopeful. Sorry, you can see her cone.
I can't even see her. I can just hear her going. She eats her bacon strip.
She's not even eating. She's just shaking. That's her collar and the cone moving.
Oh my word.
But yeah, I really like hearing about, even if it's only a little bit, I like hearing about how he's honest about wanting to fly, where Qi'ra comes from, and I like hearing Tsuulo's backstory, because to think that like he came from somewhere that, even if it wasn't nobility, even if it wasn't like super rich, like he came from a good place and he had good parents that cared. I mean, that's why the mom spent the money and was like, let's take them on an educational trip. It's just nice to see different like ways of life end up in the same place. So I find that interesting.
Yeah.
I like how they set up where, how they already have a relationship towards the movie Solo. Kind of like, I think this sets up like the love interest, because like in the heat of the moment, you're running, then it finally gets calm when you get to the safe house, and you pour yourself, even if it's not entirely true, but you give a little bit of truth, no matter how much percentage it is. It kind of sets it up for like, oh, this could be the love interest, or this is where this sets up like how they see each other differently now.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love the development of the romance, like this really gradual, slow burn, slightly getting more interested in each other or seeing each other as more of a person rather than just a rival and another kid that they got to watch out for. Like that they, the key to relationship is communication. And so what does this start out with is them sharing secrets and opening up. Ooh, I love it.
I agree with you on the communication, but I think it's also, you're also building up the trust here. They need to rely on each other if they're going to get through all this. So that's what we're looking for. And then, with the communication, I think for me, it's the trust. If we can trust each other, we're going to go places.
Which, let's see. We got 2 questions left. Are you ready for our next one?
Mm-hmm.
Ready.
Okay, so do you guys think that Tool will join them?
Let's see. I don't know that he could. He seems a little incapacitated. But first of all, can I say I squealed like a little girl when they found he was still alive. I was like, yeah, he made it. He's good. So happy. I was so happy he didn't die. And then so they're fixing him up. He's giving him information. So I think he's gonna be an ally. I don't know that he can go with them. So I think he'll be part of the team though, wherever he ends up going and doing his thing with the droid Qi'ra. So maybe he'll be their inside guy.
Oh, I tried to wrap my head around this one a lot because I was like, man, will I read the next chapter to see if he really is going to be somebody who's an ally, or is he just is his main concern is to protect the data cube? There was a few things I caught when I was reading that he said that you should give back the cube, right, to the droid Qi'ra.
Mm-hmm.
And that in that sense, I was just like, when he was like, oh, you still have it, you should give it back to them, they won the bid. Then I was like, well, I think the reason why he gave it to Han in the first place is you don't know droid if it has true feelings or not, right? So I think he gave it to him because he's like, I can probably trust Han more than I trust the Kaldana Syndicate. And so I think that's why it was given to Han. But at the end of the day, if he were to say, hey, you need to give that back, you need to give it to the right person. And he's a droid. I think he's going to side with the droids on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's going to be an ally because they have their tech guy ready, which is Tsuulo.
Tsuulo.
Yeah, Tsuulo.
Yeah.
Tsuulo.
Probably.
T silent, huh?
Well,
It's
like in Japanese, there's an actual sound of TSU.
Right.
Tsu.
Right.
So that's why I can read it as Tsuulo. It's actually
Sounds good.
With the W, and it's actually very Japanese.
Yeah, so I think with him, I think they're definitely trying to get as much information as they can before, I don't know if his power is going to even run out or not. But yeah, go back to it. And why did they use him why did they use his name in the movie as a cover, right? So there's something about him that we're still going to read that we don't know yet. And that's why I was just like, I want to read ahead and to see where this is going, because
no cheating.
he definitely plays a part in it. I would say I can't see where his I think he's so droids are so practical that they're so straightforward minded that it's like whatever the programming is, you got to stick to it kind of thing. So I think they don't really kind of plan out logic to say. And I think giving the data cube to Han was just a spare the moment thing, and keep it out of the hands of the Kaldana, who might be able to do something worse to the data cube.
Mm-hmm.
I think, although I like how she writes droids, and that they have kind of these personalities and tastes and wants, like the droid in the speeder garage, BJ.
Right, BJ.
Like
Yeah.
that she actually has a taste in speeders and hates some. Like hate is an emotion.
Yeah.
How, I
Mm.
mean, it's interesting. And then you've got Tool with a completely different personality, but he has this desire to be unique and to have these unnecessary features, but just to accumulate them. So it's a very I like all these droids. It's a very interesting take on them. They're not all logical and, stick to the programming.
Yeah, most definitely.
I think that's kind of why you pointed out, the personalities. And I love the droids of Star Wars. Quick side thing, on Tumblr, someone had made a post about how the droids, a lot of the people in the movies and even a lot of fans are just like, whatever, they're just little machines. But then an example was, spoilers for those who, if you have not seen it now, go watch it. Last episode of season 7, the Clone Wars, how the droids were just super willing to help Ahsoka. Like they were ready. They were like, yeah, we're gonna do this. She's like, it's risky. It's risky. You may not make it out, whatever. But then they're just like, we have to help our friend. And R2D2 was always there for Anakin. C3PO, he's kind of annoying, but he has a personality. L3 from Solo. That's why, just thinking about all these droids and then the ones in the books, I was like, I hope he joins in some capacity, because I love Star Wars droids. And like you said, they have personalities, they have different feelings and everything. They're not just hunks of metal. And that's why I'm really hoping that some droid joins them, because I just love a little droid friendship.
Yeah. Little droid team member.
Yeah.
I guess you're right. Like, you know how I always say, like, you can't have lightsabers, or you can't have Star Wars without lightsabers in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just goes to the same thing without droids. I'm gonna say it now too, as we're talking now. Like, you can't have your crew, your gang, without some type of droid, because it brings that type of perspective into your a different type of what do you call it, characteristic to your group.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something that is so like Star Wars. It's part of their universe. Like their droids are just so common that, no matter what job you have or what part of the universe you live in, there's going to be a droid doing something somewhere. And so they should constantly feature and be present. I really wish that the new movies had used R2 more. Like, he should have had a lot more screen time. R2 was the best. And he got sidelined by BB-8. I love BB-8. Don't get me wrong. But, yeah, we needed more R2.
At least have R2 present with Leia, because Leia still has her scenes.
Yeah.
Have BB-8 be with all the new people, but then have him stay with, the original. All right, guys. So we're halfway through the book. Do you have any predictions, any thoughts or feelings?
Is that the question?
That's the question.
So broad. Shoot.
You guys said no hard questions.
Okay. Predictions.
If you don't have any predictions, then any thoughts or feelings of what happened so far, or how you
so many thoughts. It's like I actually had to take notes as I was reading, because I was like, there's so many things I was impressed with that I wanted to talk about. Like, I like the and it's all like nerdy writing stuff, but I like the point of view shift between chapters. So it'll be like a chapter that's kind of from Han's point of view, and then one that's, it's not first person, but it'll be the narration will shift from Han's perspective to Qi'ra's perspective. And so I like the difference in the way they see things and the way their thought processes are. And the narration almost changes, like the way that the writing is, depending on whose point of view chapter it is. So when it's Han's chapter, everything is more about the sensations and the way things look and feel, and how they make him feel, and his just like random thoughts that he has. And then when it's Qi'ra's point of view, it's very analytical. It's like, it was this many meters high and it will take this long to get to this place. Like, it's like then when the narrator shifts point of view, it shifts to their thinking style. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then even the dichotomy of because we get both of their perspectives on the other's smile. So Qi'ra smiles, and then Han sees it like a ray of sunshine coming through the clouds or whatever. And then in the next chapter, Han smiles, and Qi'ra describes it in like 2 words. She says like his obnoxious smile. Like, it's like Han's got this very like feeling centric, poetic, like, wow. And then she's just like, I don't trust him, like, stupid, like he's up to something, obnoxious smile. So I just loved that the both of them had a moment to observe the other's smile, and it was a completely different observation. Let's see what else.
And I think that goes with how they are gonna end up, you know, they once you know how each one is, that's gonna show you a level of trust in that sense, you know, like, and that's where it's like, oh, he's kind of lying, but like, and then for him, it's like anything, you know, when she's happy, I'm happy, kind of thing. But to your point, also, like, I also thought of it also as like, would their survival styles is how they move forward in life, right? Or was it also, and I also question myself, was like, did their upbringing also play a role in the way their survival techniques work out?
I don't know, like, could you even use the word upbringing with them? Like, it seemed like they just raised themselves and figured out different survival styles.
Yeah.
So it's just by experience then, I'm guessing, like.
Yeah, at this point I think it would just be more about experience, not necessarily an upbringing, but just how, you know, like how Megan said, the way that they raised themselves. They had to be their own parents. We don't know about too much about Han, but at least for Qi'ra and then for Tsuulo, you know, to an extent.
But Revolt and his hounds, do you think he's gonna end up catching up to them at some point and eventually you know, almost get his you know, his biscuit, or his or what's he gonna be? Is he gonna be an ally? Is he really, I want to nail you so badly?
Well, he's gonna,
because I need to get to head.
Exactly. There's this bait of, you know, whoever finds them. And then I just like that detail that anytime Lady Proxima wants to motivate someone to do anything, it's like, oh, if you do this, I'll give you the position of head. And it's like every single person in this whole gang thinks that they're going for head at this point. Like, so I would think that Revolt would have that that motivation to find them. So I think he's really going to be hunting hard. But yeah,
I don't know how well he would do, because I mean, what did Qi'ra say? Qi'ra made some comment about how, you know, without the hounds, like, he really would be nothing. But even then, what did she said something about like the hounds not even like being all there, because they can get distracted even for a little bit.
But he's got them still at this point, so he's got a chance. I mean, no one's gonna go as far as the bottoms to try to look for them, though.
Going back to chapter 6 with it, where the hounds did get to them, I was like, yeah, it's definitely the hounds that do the work for him.
Yeah.
Even if those are the hounds from the movie, it's always the hounds that, you know, sniff them out somehow. But I wish they had biscuits at the, you know, at the spaceport of Coronet. But yeah, it seems like having the biscuits help you out when those hounds come around.
For sure. And it seems like Tsulo's already kind of got a relationship with them. Like they know him as the guy who has biscuits sometimes too. Like, because he didn't even hesitate. He's like, oh, it's the stinking hounds. I got biscuits here. Like he had a lot of biscuits in that bag. How did he get all of those? I don't know. I guess he's good at planning too. He thinks ahead. The other thing that I wanted to rant and rave about is the world building. I really like all the different places that they've gone and the diversity of the places. Like we've gone all the way from this fancy hotel to the basement of this foundry and where there's a secret meeting. Now we've gone into the foundry itself, and you kind of get a sense of like the atmosphere and the mood and everything of all these different places. And then you've got the bottoms. Where else have we been? The racing garage in the city, and then all the way to like Tsulo's description of like this secret underground religious cult museum thing. Like, I don't know, it's just like you get all these different cultures, and she doesn't take a long time to describe it or to like put it in your face like, here's what you're supposed to think about this. She just kind of describes it, and here's how they react to it, and here's what it was like. And then you get this sense of this world with all these different people doing these different things and these different cultures, and kind of how they interact with each other, and where these kids can go and have been. I really like it. It's making a very rich world, and we haven't even left the planet. So
it's like how you described it last week. She writes efficiently. Like you
yes.
get what you need. You can still picture everything, but it's not like there's an overstimulation of words.
But there's still this sense of a bigger universe beyond this planet. So she hasn't shrunk the galaxy, even though this is one of the most like contained stories we've read, in that they haven't left the ground, to be real. And yet we've got stories about Coruscant. We've got this plan from an imperial blueprint for some big thing that nobody, and we've got these gangs that operate above the shipyards and in the shipyards. Like, so it's this big world, but they're only seeing glimpses of it, and yet it all kind of surrounds their story and builds this universe that they live in. And I don't know, it's very effective and efficient.
I don't know if you want to dip dive into Tsulo and Rizzo's relationship.
Boy.
Because definitely those two, like, you're wishing hate on your brother, right? But
it's kind of
you
like
grew up together and got here somehow to this point together.
It felt just like a love-hate relationship. Like he said, like he hates him, but he doesn't want him dead. He understands why he did what he did, but at the same time, he's pissed, which, understandable. You grew up together. He thought he was going to do what's best for you, especially as the older sibling. But it didn't turn out the way he wanted, and it just ended up screwing them both over. So I could see why he feels that way. Like, I hate you. I hope you suffer in, tied up. But at the same time, I don't want you dead. So you could tell that there's still love deep down, but at the same time, he's like, okay, I just want you to suffer at least a little bit.
A little punishment.
Maybe, like, when I was reading it, I kind of got the feeling that he's like, I just want him to experience what I had to feel that he put me through without it costing him his life. And that's just kind of the impression I got. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, why he says he hates him, and he's okay doing some things, but if it came to, like, killing him or anything, I don't think he'd be okay with that.
That was another interesting dichotomy that I noticed, and knowing where they end up, it's interesting to see it manifest so early, in that everybody here is scrapping for survival, right? But then you've got Qi'ra, who's like, let's bash him on the head with a friggin' wrench, and then she punches him, and then Han's like, I don't want to hurt anybody. Like,
Yeah, and Han knew him too, so
she's so stinking cutthroat. But like,
She's feisty.
jeez. And there was another part, and I can't remember what it was, where she was just like really like cold. And then Han was a little bit more sympathetic. And so I'm like, oh, I can already see you two are not gonna agree on everything.
do you think that's why they get along later on? Is because it's an opposites attract kind of thing with them too, Qi'ra and Han?
I think maybe in a sense that their differences will complement each other in a way. So when one is lacking, the other kind of picks up. So Han, we already can tell he's more emotional in the sense that he's sympathetic and he does think about other people, while Kira's more like cold and calculated. And so I think, in times where they need to be more sympathetic, that's where he's going to have more of the strong suit. And then other times where she's like, okay, we just got to, forget about feelings. That's where she'll come out a little stronger. And I think that they can help balance each other out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those were my general thoughts. I don't know. I had a lot more. I liked that she was the first one to pilot the speeder, and that it was so hard for Han to like, oh, okay, I guess you have more experience, even though it says it like physically hurt how badly he wanted to pilot it. And he's like, okay, you do it. And then she sucks. He's like, let me do it.
But he gave her a chance.
Yeah. Like, oh, that was, he had a moment of being logical, and he thought, well, if she's had lessons, she might be better. So
yeah, he went against his gut, because remember it said something like it felt bad in his gut, or he had a bad feeling about it, something like that.
Yeah.
And he was right. His feelings were right. It was bad. She sucked.
Yep.
I love how also in Rae wrote this story as in like every little thing that they become successful, the foundation was luck in here. So, I mean, I don't think she's mentioned dice yet. So, I wonder if that's, or is the luck the dice, or is luck they're working together kind of thing?
I wonder if the dice will show up before the end of this.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
So
maybe like what you said, they're luckier because they're working together instead of against each other.
Okay.
I didn't think about it until you said that, and I was like, okay, yeah, maybe they are, because I remember in the book they said like, eventually luck runs out, but then when you said that, I was like, maybe the luck is just them working together, them being together.
What do you think of Hans Speeder that he's sort of building?
He's such a dork, but I love it.
Do you think it's gonna be? I mean, first I'm thinking like, how's he getting the parts? Is he taking it from scraps? Like that's how I would think if I was building my speeder, which I would think you're getting it from a junkyard, or these are parts that are like, what do you call it? Not refurbished, but they're
salvaged or something.
They're rebuilt.
He don't got no money.
Yeah, so I'm thinking like, and like what style? I was trying to picture it. Like, I think they might have said gray. I'm not sure if it was gray.
It wasn't painted yet.
So maybe it must have been
still
like
just
some
gray
type of gray metal. But yeah, I was trying to figure it out, like, because going back to it, it's like I really want to become a flyer, and this is gonna get me, this is the vehicle that's gonna get me to that to flying. So
what I liked is that his big secret that he like ached not to reveal, and they just got into a situation where he had no choice, was his speeder. And Qi'ra immediately insults it. She's like, this doesn't even have an engine, and it's stupid, this looks like an old dumb windshield, like whatever. She insults, and he's like, it's not so bad. And then she's like, oh my gosh, this is your speeder? Oh my gosh, I knew it. And so then they get to her big secret, which is her little house, her hideout. And then she gets really self-conscious, but he doesn't reciprocate. Like, he easily could have insulted it the same way, but he doesn't. He's like, I think it's great. So I don't know, it's just a little difference.
All right, I think we got our stuff for the week. I think I don't know if I have a, like, if this question should be wait for the next week, or should I say it now, because it's kind of related to back again with the whole luck thing, you know.
Go with your gut. Pull a Han
I'll just
Solo.
okay. I mean, you can always. I think, you know, in A New Hope, when he goes, you know, I call it luck, and Obi-Wan goes, in my experience, there's no such thing as luck. In Han's perspective, could luck be the Force for him?
Yeah, I think that's exactly his interpretation of it.
I 100% think he's at least a little Force sensitive. I'm gonna go back to Tumblr because someone pointed out in episodes 4 through 6, like, things that could be seen as luck, but then they're like, you would need a little extra luck, like maybe some help from the Force. So I don't think he's like super Force sensitive, but I think it's not necessarily luck, but the Force is on his side. And, you know, I was thinking how he was rolling his eyes at, like, oh God, this religion believer. But then in, what was it, episode 7, he's like, that's not how the Force works. And then I'm just like, he's going to believe in it. I think he's at least a little sensitive to it, because no way is anyone that lucky. No one's that lucky for anything in their life, you know? Because think about it, time and time and time again, not just in this book, but in all of his life that we've seen, that's way too much luck to be a coincidence. So
I mean, the odds of navigating an asteroid field.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
See, that was one of the times, and I'm just like, okay, I think you're kind of lucky, but at the same time, the Force is definitely on your side.
So we can just say, like, maybe good people, the light side, the Force, you know, likes to channel its way into people's lives that way. Because it's just the same if we can say with Finn, right?
A feeling.
Now, I don't know if the Force called to Finn, or it's just in nature, Finn is like good inside that the Force, you know, called to him.
Yeah, because I mean, what if, you know, they both talk about feelings, but what if it's not just, you know, their gut? What if it's the Force that's in their feelings?
100% it is, and they just, everybody interprets it different. Some people call it luck, some people call it feelings, some people call it the Force.
Well, I stick by the Jedi. May the Force be with you. They'll stay with you.
When in doubt, brazen it out.
Hey. I love how that came back into one of the chapters. I said,
a couple of
she's
them.
Gonna stick with the motto.
Yes.
And that's his motto. And so, yeah, here, I got another question, actually, that I just had remembered. When was ever a time in your real life that you ever had to, when in doubt, brazen it out, like talk your way out of something? And I try to think of stuff in my life. I don't know if it would be appropriate for the viewers, but I could say I've sort of talked my way out of a ticket one time. You know, I just said I got lost, and you know, nice enough, I was to get to go on my way. So I'll leave it at that without saying too much.
That's funny.
Shame on you. Probably my most famous story in this context ever was definitely, and if I had known of the quote, I would have said it, but the time that I met George Lucas was because he was not the person I was assigned to. He was not supposed to follow me anywhere. I had no idea where he was going. Like, he had a different person assigned to him. My walkie was dead, so I couldn't even call for help or to find out where he needed to be or who his person was or tell them to come meet me. He just looked at me and he said, "Are you the guide?" And time slowed down and the world collapsed in upon itself. And I just said, "Yes, I'm the guide." And then I was leading my person and he goes, "Should I follow you?" And I just said, "Yes." you can come with me. I had no idea where he needed to go, when he needed to be there, anything like that. And he just followed me out, and I thought, this is it. I'll never work this job again. Like, I'm going to get fired. I'm breaking every single rule. I'm stealing somebody else's, talent and taking them to a place that I can't even warn them that I'm taking them. And
as you should.
I just thought, without being those words, when in doubt, brazen it out. And so I just very confidently was like, okay, everybody come with me. And next thing I know, there's a line of people following me, including George, his son, and then all of the people that were with my person that also were supposed to be with a different person. Like a line of ducklings. They followed me backstage to teleprompter, and I got there and they're like, oh, thank goodness. Yes, we needed all these people here right at this time. We didn't know, like, we were calling and nobody was answering. And I was like, oh, yeah, I knew they were supposed to all be here right now, totally. And I was like, it was the Force. It was totally the Force.
The Force is strong with you.
It was, and it turned out all of them needed to be in the places I was taking them at that time, and that their escorts that were assigned to them had gotten lost. It was their first night, and they didn't know what they were supposed to do, and they were nowhere to be found. And so these guys, including George, would never have gotten to where he needed to go if he hadn't have followed me, when I lied and said that, yes, he was supposed to follow me. So
you did a good thing.
So it was luck or the Force, or when in doubt, brazen it out. I just said, you know what? I'll never work in this town again, but I'm just going to say, yes, George, follow me. I'm the guide. Let's go.
With the will of the Force.
That's it.
Meena, anything?
I can't really think of anything too specific. Sometimes I work, I'm not gonna say where I work. Yeah. I work.
Hey, if you know where she works, put it in the comments below.
No, don't put it in the comments. Do not put it in the comments, please. But I work private security. So I work private security, and sometimes when dealing with unruly people, sometimes you just gotta talk your way out of bad situations to de-escalate or to get them to comply with, whatever is going on. Sometimes, when you don't have that good of an explanation, that's why I'm kind of like Han, where I just think on my feet, and the first thing that comes out of my mouth works. So sometimes, you just gotta talk your way out of like stressful situations, or talk your way through when de-escalating something, or helping to de-escalate someone's like anger. So I guess kind of in that sense, I don't know if it counts, but that's the closest.
No, yeah, it definitely does.
It's
especially
very Han Solo.
Being on the fly.
So I have to think on my feet a lot for work like that.
Talk your way out of trouble.
Usually, I'm not the one in trouble. Usually, to help them
situation.
out of trouble. Yeah, to help out of the trouble. God, that happens way more often than I would like for it to happen, especially at that job. But work is work.
Do what you gotta do.
Yeah. That's why I relate a lot to Han Solo, because for that, and even like at my old retail job, like you just gotta kind of think on your feet and let it play out. I'm just like, oh, let's see what happens.
See, and not me. Like, even in this situation, the story I just told, I was so Qi'ra the whole night. I was like, I'm gonna walk my route like 3 or 4 times so that I've got it memorized. I know exactly how much time it takes to get from point A to point B. I'm gonna write out my schedule so that I know exactly what order things go in, and I'm gonna learn as much as I can about the layout of this place, and like memorize it down to a science. Like, I had plan A, plan B, plan C ready to go, and then everything just went haywire. But if it weren't for me being so meticulously practiced and planned out, when my Wookiee died, I would have had no idea where to go, like where the next place I was supposed to go is, or where my person was, or what time they needed to get there. I'd have been listening for instructions instead of relying on the schedule that I'd memorized. So it was a mix. It was a Mey-Gon being a Qi'ra prepper thrown into a Han situation.
Definitely. Well, I know the next time I have to talk my way out of something, I gotta just say, think like Han, and then talk like Han, and talk your way out of it, because I'm not great at doing it. But
It's
you
all
know, with
about the
this, hopefully,
confidence.
hopefully this time it'll, I can be like, I gotta think like Han.
If you're confident in what you're saying, no one's going to question it. But if you're nervous, then yeah, someone's going to be like, are you sure about that?
No,
Right.
that's the thing. Like, you know how many backstages I've gotten into just because if you look like you know what you're doing and where you're going, no one's going to stop and ask you questions. So if you just walk confidently, like I'm supposed to be here. No one's
No,
gonna
that
stop.
doesn't work for me as much.
Little life hack for y'all.
I've tried to do that, but get back through concerts backstage, and every time it's like, hey buddy, you got your pass? I'm like, it's right here. But it doesn't work for me as much as you two.
Confidence.
It's confidence.
That's it. It's literally all about confidence.
Yeah, it's that Han Solo life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I was doing an interview for a higher up position at work, and I was totally the interview. So you turn in your application to do it. Usually you have a while before it, and then mine was 2 days after I turned it in, and I was like, what even? I was so nervous, but I kept that all on the inside. All my answers were very confident. On the inside, I was literally screaming into the void, dying. But on the outside, I was very confident. So my hands are under the table. I look fine, but my hands are like this, a freaking mess. But they can't see that. And my words were very confident, albeit a couple of the answers were just kind of like, what the hell are you saying? But I sounded confident enough that they looked interested, and I was like, I'm just spewing nonsense at this point.
Just go with it.
Just keep going with it. Confidence. It's all about confidence.
That's right.
Yeah.
The things we learn from Han Solo.
Oh no, most definitely.
Trust in
You
the
can
Force.
learn a lot from Han.
Who was that? This time it wasn't me. Who was that?
That was me.
Again.
Yes.
My phones still make dinging sounds when I get messages. Oops.
We gotta
You were
give
making
the
fun
whole...
of me, and now look at you.
Oh well. Well,
well,
that was a good question, Ronald.
That was
I like
a really
that.
good one.
yeah, because well, all right. Well, let's close this out so we can do what we're going to do. Well, thank you for coming back to watch. Our chapter 6 through 10. Our second week doing this. We're going to continue to do this. But thank you for your support, and we could also use like our Instagram, our Tumblr. Follow us on the Instagram, Tumblr,
Twitter, YouTube.
Like,
subscribe,
comment. Any questions?
Are we
you have
already
for us?
doing like and subscribe? Smash that like button.
We are.
No, I hate it when YouTubers do that.
If you have any questions for us, leave them in the comments on any of our social medias on the video, and we're happy to answer them.
Okay, but really though, like if any of the questions that we've discussed, if you've got a different answer, if you're reading along with us and you've got thoughts on these chapters, or who are you most like, Qi'ra or Han? Like, how do you deal with situations? If you've got a great example of when in your life you've utilized when in doubt, brazen it out, like we want to hear it. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear your answers to these questions. If you have other questions from these chapters you want to ask us, we'll be sure to discuss them. So go ahead and comment if you have thoughts on this book.
Yeah. Yep. We'd love to hear from you.
All right.
All right. So tune in next week.
Yeah. Sexy Wookiee Squadron out.
Sexy Wookiees.